Welcome to the Growth Minded Accountant podcast, where our experts will share best practices on running your firm in the digital age. This podcast is brought to you by CountingWorks Pro. Let's get started.
Welcome to another episode of the Growth Minded Accountant. My name is Lee Reams. I am the founder and CEO of CountingWorks and TaxBuzz. And today we're exploring how AI can be a game changer for tax professionals during the busiest time of the year. So today's topic, we're calling it Mastering AI for Tax Season Success. And we're going to actually address a lot of issues or questions that have come up through our long form webinars that we've done on AI. So we have like an AI 101. If you go to our YouTube channel, just Google CountingWorks Pro YouTube, and you'll be able to find it's called Take Two, but it's kind of like an AI 101 course that we've done. It includes a bunch of prompts, but we've done this session to thousands and thousands of tax and accounting pros. And each time, like little questions come up that are more repetitive. So we're going to try to address those today. A lot of feedback that we've been getting about AI from our own subscriber base has been really positive. Through my team meetings yesterday, I met with my customer success team, and we're seeing a lot more usage from a lot more users, and some are becoming what I'll call power users. But we went from, hey, I don't know what it is, or I don't want to use it, to I love it and I can't stop using it, right? So now it's just a matter of how can we improve our tools, how can we improve the results from AI, and kind of train you as tax and accounting professionals the best way to write prompts and things like that. So today, as usual, I did no guest today. We have Rebecca Barton. She's our Chief Visibility Officer. She has a lot of insight, again, on how to use AI to do a lot of the marketing related things. So writing copy, doing social media, doing outlines. There's a lot of ways from an SEO standpoint that you can use AI to really get a lot of benefit. So together, we're going to delve into how AI can streamline your tax season operations and, most importantly, save you a ton of time. And I'm talking hours and hours per day. And we're going to talk about a lot of use cases here. So Rebecca, if you could just say hello before we get started with the questions.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm looking forward to diving into this with you today.
So we're going to start with what we usually do on a definition of, again, understanding what AI is and what it does. So Rebecca, if you could give like a brief kind of Webster dictionary of what AI is, and then we'll kind of run from there.
Sure. So AI is basically a computer program and algorithm that is trained on certain modules to help you. Think of it as an assistant. So AI functions more like a human brain than, say, a search engine does. And it's going to provide you with answers using human language, using natural speech patterns, and it can understand search queries that are longer and more complex than a search engine could.
Yeah, and what I think the most important thing that you mentioned was it is an assistant, and it can feel like it's an army of assistants. So it could be assistants of copywriters. It could be your tax research group. It could do a lot of your processes and help you get through client workflows faster. So it's 100% an assistant, and it's very scalable. And guess what? It doesn't cost that much. You don't have an HR department dealing with your AI assistant. So that's a good starting point. The other question that comes up often is just understanding security and compliance, specifically in the tax accounting space with the IRS new mandate, the FTC mandates on two-factor authentication, what you're storing, who has access to that. Make sure whatever technology you're using at least has the 2FAs turned on, specifically if you're going to start sharing your client data. That obviously is a big deal. And then secondarily, tools like our TaxBuzz AI, in CountingWorks, we call it just the AI assistant. We do allow you to upload, we have AI agents. We also have the ability in our generative AI tool to upload client files. I think it's very important. People ask, well, what happens to that data? It's not stored in a database. It is not training the AI model. It's purely pulling context from those documents. So AI is able to extract that data. So let's say you had a PDF of a tax return. It's able to extract that data and then take all the knowledge it has about the tax code. Let's just say tax, planning strategies, and take the data from there and personalize the results. In our tool, you can even purge that conversation as soon as you're done, and it clears it from memory. So it's gone. So security, and again, not all tools do that if you don't have 2FA on. If some tools are actually, we know some of the social tools are 100% their AI tools are training on your data and your conversations. You need to check that out before you decide which AI platform you're going to use. But definitely make sure you have 2FA on anytime you're sharing client data on. I think that's really important. Another question that comes up often is the quality of the results. So any tool that is trained on a end date will obviously not have the most accurate results coming back every time, right? So specifically in the tax and accounting space, that is obvious. So if there's a new tax court ruling, there's a new set of mileage rates, whatever it is, it can become dated. And that's where you can have some inaccuracies. Tools like ours, AI and CountingWorks Pro, we're training our data year round, basically daily, where anytime there's new information that comes out, we're uploading that and training our model. More importantly, we are a tax research center. We're basically in there doing all the tax research and then summarizing it and then training our model on what that summarizing is looking like, what it's saying. So that's another way that the accuracy on tools like ours is very high, very high. Of course, anytime you use an AI, you're a human in the loop. Your expertise is supposed to say, does any of your assistant, if you gave, some staff, would you not just at least review what they're doing? Hopefully you are. So that's the other suggestion that I would do. So that's kind of the beginning intro. Now I want to get into some of the capabilities of AI and how you should use it. So I'm going to break this down into different buckets, so to speak. And the first one is going to be in workflow. So let's think about a traditional workflow. We're talking about digitizing your workflows. So how do all those client-facing engagements occur, and how can I use AI to help me do it faster, and more importantly, more accurately and with more personalization? And I'm talking about when a client, let's say it's a prospect that was referred to you, and they're now ready to sign up with you. How do you do that? And Rebecca, I want to talk about a little bit about how to use a tool for doing personal proposals. How would you then do in personal engagement letters? How would you create maybe intake forms for your clients? So let's talk a little bit about using AI tools, best practices, how to get a professional, like personalized proposal out based on an industry or niche or target audience.
Absolutely. There's so much you can do with AI in regard to this. Obviously, it takes a lot of time for you to sit down and handwrite all of these, not handwrite, but type out all of these different proposals, engagement letters, intake forms, all these pieces that you need for every single prospect that you're bringing into your firm. Where AI absolutely excels is by you giving it a prompt saying, hey, something to the effect of, hey, I have a brand new client. They own a daycare and they're going to need A, B, C, and D services. Can you please write a proposal that takes their job into account and any other personal information that you want to include? Takes you, 15 seconds to write this prompt, throw it into the AI, and it can spit out a highly personal engagement letter within seconds. And it can do the same thing with any other document that you may need to send to that client or any other client. So by just changing little things in your prompt, what I do, I save prompts that I use a lot for things that I'm repeating. And then I just update the details. So then the AI can spit out a very similar but highly personal document for every situation as I go through that same workflow over and over again. So you can definitely do that. Another benefit of doing this is that you're going to have that personal touch that you may not have if you're just sending out a templated form, because you don't have time to go through and personalize every time. So it allows you to add that extra layer of customer service that we know is so important with not only getting higher paying clients, but in keeping clients for the long term and that retention.
Yeah, the user experience is incredible compared to what you were doing traditionally. And if you were doing old-fashioned ways of onboarding clients, now you're going to start talking about saving hours and hours of time. So I now personalize my proposal. Tools like ours, if you're using CountingWorks Pro, you're able to send that out and receive payment directly through the proposal. And then you can start stringing along those workflows. So once a proposal is signed and or paid for, you can then trigger your personalized engagement letter. That could then trigger a personalized intake form. And these kind of things are like real, jumps in efficiency for your practice. So there's one way to utilize AI. And now I'm going to get into what I consider the low-hanging fruit of this whole discussion is client communication. So one of the biggest things we see, one of the biggest negatives we see in our platforms for reviews for our tax and accounting pros are the ones that are not responsive. I sent something to my pro and they never responded. It's been weeks. They never answer their phone. They don't respond to email. What AI does is takes tasks that may have taken you, a significant amount of time. If a client was asking a somewhat technical question, obviously you need to do some research. It's not as easy as just, typing in the prompts to AI and AI spits out your client communication. But guess what? It is with artificial intelligence. So anytime you're using any sort of chatbot, it is very easy. You just put in whatever the input is, so whatever that email is, it will be able to decipher exactly the intent of the email. If you're using tools like ours, we've put in, as Rebecca said, memorizing the tone you like to write with, about using I or we for our firm, all that kind of stuff. It makes it really easy now to kind of inline in like a client portal inline, just be able to respond and have AI write the response. Of course, you can add to that prompt, you can edit it and make it more personalized, but the efficiency now on being able to use artificial intelligence to communicate with clients, whether that's writing client letters, responding in email, responding in a chat format in a client portal, I think is significant. And, I'm thinking hours there as well. And more importantly, you now are responsive. And if you can figure out ways to start monetizing this, we're real big into pushing people to do packages, tax planning subscriptions, virtual CFO subscriptions, where this is just part of the service versus you feel like you're giving your service away for free. But definitely look at that. And Rebecca, you are a master at writing prompts for like personalized responses to like an inbound client inquiry. What would you add to what I just said?
I think you hit on a lot of the key points. One thing I like to point out to everyone I talk to is that you get out what you put in when it comes to AI. If you're giving it a 1-sentence prompt with no context, no information about what you do, who you are, who the client is, you're going to get a very generic response. And that's one of the biggest things I train people on, is how to write prompts that make sense and that are going to get you the responses you want, that require minimal editing from a human standpoint. I tell people all the time, there are certain things that just sound like AI. It uses the word emphasizing a lot. It uses the word navigating a lot. We're revolutionizing everything. So I often tell it to exclude those words. So just little tips like that as you start getting into it and playing with it. Remember that you're talking to it like you would a person. So if you have details that you would be telling someone in your office, tell it to the AI. You're going to get much more personal responses, and it's going to start remembering those different details that you like. And also give it feedback. If I really love a response, I'm like, hey, I really liked how you did A, B, and C. Can you remember to do that more? So just talk to it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be scared of the responses you get. The more you tell it, the better it's going to get.
So it is conversational. People don't realize that. And then just even the word prompt. So we probably should define that for our audience who is new to it. So prompting is basically the instructions you're giving to the artificial intelligence on what you want to accomplish. So as Rebecca said, it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you're giving like first grade prompts or writing what is a 529 plan? Versus, can you write a client letter for Lee Reams, who has 2 children, 1 6 and 1 7, named Whitney and Troy, and I want to incentivize them and educate them on 529 plans and why it's so important for them to get started and get their grandparents involved in savings and what the time value of money means. And if they want any assistance in setting up the planning for this, to call me for a consultation. That is a long form prompt that's going to get you a really good dialed in output. So that's kind of what we mean when we're talking about prompting. So I'm going to pivot now from the client communication side to the other kind of big way to use artificial intelligence. And that is going to be in marketing, and whether that be writing a blog article, that be doing social media posts, doing planning, writing meta titles, descriptions for SEO, perhaps even doing some planning on how to write your service pages, things like that, even your bio. People have a huge challenge just writing bios at times. If we can get 6 or 7 things about you into an AI prompt for a bio, you would be amazed how well it can do. And it's so much better than you sitting there for hours trying to figure out what to do. So Rebecca, let's start a little bit on how you train and coach our client base on getting best results on the marketing side.
this is one of my favorite things to do right now. I love doing the marketing calls with people and kind of seeing them, the light bulb go on when they realize how they can use AI to kind of enhance their marketing efforts. So the first thing you need to do is know your business, right? The more you know about who you want to reach, the better the AI can help you. We always use restaurant owners. Today I've been on a daycare kick, so we'll just stick with that. But say you are working primarily with daycare owners, people who own either in-home daycares or daycare centers, and they're working with small kids, and you're trying to reach them to say, hey, I can do your tax and accounting work so you can focus on what really matters, which is, pouring into these little children who you watch all day long. So you could put into the AI, hey, I specialize in providing tax and accounting services for daycare centers. I'm looking to create a month-long Facebook posting calendar. Can you please provide me with image suggestions, trending hashtags, and content? It will spit out a content calendar. It removes all the effort of you sitting there doing research, trying to figure out what's going to resonate with people in that demographic, what's not. You can do the same thing for content clusters. Content clusters are a group of articles, typically blog posts or news articles, that relate to a specific topic. Posting content clusters is a great way to start building your authority online. Google takes site authority into account hugely now, and a great way to establish site authority is to become an expert on the internet at large in a particular area. So if you were to say to your AI, hey, I specialize again in daycare center tax and accounting, I'm looking to establish authority on the web, give me a content cluster of 15 articles that surround this topic that I can post to Medium, to my blog, to wherever you're going to share them. It will give you the topics that will create a content cluster. It just saves so much time, literally hours and hours of research into what would be good topics, what would be good keywords. It can spit all of that out. Then all you have to do is create the post, and you can use AI to help you with that too.
Yeah, and this is when we're going into the time savings, or more importantly, I think the budget. So forget time savings, because I don't think most busy tax and accounting pros would do this exercise. They don't have time. They're not marketing experts. We obviously at CountingWorks Pro have our marketing concierge services where we kind of guide clients on how to do this. And it makes it obviously much easier. But the reality is most don't have a $10,000, $20,000 budget or more, to write this type of content. Back in the old days, before tools like ours, who are educated in the tax code, it would cost you a lot of money. Someone technically savvy enough who also writes, you're talking a couple $100 an hour. Then you have proofing, which the AI can do for you as well. But as Rebecca said, if you're utilizing, because sometimes now AI can look like AI. So if you're giving it the right prompts, I'm telling you, it can write some really good copy. Let's say there's some copywriters that you really like that you've read, or storytellers. You could actually, write in the style of X, and it will follow kind of what it knows about that particular writer, and get you some really spectacular results. So I think it's a big win there as well. So I'm going to now go into the next use case, which is tax research. This one is where we used to use ChatGPT. We tested it. It was about 50% accurate. That was because its models usually are about 6 months old. And as things continue to change, certain models are training on more data. But there's a lot of times where this is where the human in the loop really helps. So tools that specialize in the tax code like ours are going to get much higher accuracy rates. We even have a tool that says, please accuracy check. Can you look at the response in line? So if you're using a customer of ours, we actually go into our tax research group. We'll look things over. What's interesting is over time, I thought that tool would be used all the time. We actually, at one point when we first started testing and training our model, we did thousands and thousands and thousands of different questions, and we had humans that would review all of the prompts or all the responses. We had a handful, 20 or 30 that were ever flagged. And the reason they were flagged usually was a year wrong. Or maybe like a weird state issue that it just doesn't have the information. But if you had fed that in a form of a PDF, plus what its knowledge base looks like today, that would be highly accurate. So tax research is another way that, if you're a smaller firm, You don't have the budget to have tax researchers on staff. If you're subscribing to the expensive tax research libraries, you got to do all the research. They're putting in AI too as well, so they're getting some better responses quicker. But you're still spending a ton of time. So that's another way that AI is helping you there. So tax research to me is an absolute no-brainer. Any sort of complex questions. We also have a human forum, like a private closed forum at CountingWorks. And often we'll just test the question outputs of those questions that go through there through our AI tools, and the accuracy has been amazing. So 100% tax research should be something that you're looking to utilize AI tools. So now I'm going to get into, we're talking mostly about generative AI, and what you're going to start hearing next is AI agents. That will be the next big thing. And then there will be predictive AI. And I'm going to try to explain each one of those. We are exploring AI agents now in our platform. And the best way to explain it is, how can we get a client report based on a specific use case? So let's say we want to improve their cash flow. So what is a process that we could use AI to take inputs about our client, whether we're extracting data from their current financials, if we have an import form that they're filling out to give us a little more personalization, but then program the AI to know we're doing tax planning optimization. So instead of software doing it, the AI is doing it. I guess software is still doing it, but the software is limited to what the programmers can do. AI can do anything. So you're going to get much more personalized results in the outputs. So much more personalized tax plans, for example, much more personalized income state, maximizer or like optimizer kind of thing. So as long as you can upload some client data, you can have some sort of intake forms that kind of do like a client interview, you're going to be able to take processes that may have taken you hours and hours of work and get AI to get you 95% of the way there. So an AI agent, the way we're using it is, let's say you want to use the tax optimization tool. So that's basically tax planning strategy. So I have 350 clients. I want to send out a campaign to these 350 clients. Hey, I'm doing a year-end tax plan. If you're interested, I'm charging, $1,495, and that's going to include intake of your and review of your financial information. I'm going to create a personalized tax plan report for you, and I'm going to give you an hour consultation to go in and analyze this and how we're going to actually implement these tax plans. You send out so our system, we have a campaign, the email goes out, 40 of your clients now sign up for the $1,495 product. They then will be sent another email with this intake form. The intake form might be 10, 20 questions, but really fast, like 5 to 10 minutes. That data then comes into the AI tool. The AI agent then analyzes it. It's been trained to create a tax planning report. It kicks out a report. You as the human in the loop now, at that point, you decide how you want to deliver it. So am I delivering it in person, going over in the office? Am I sending a Zoom meeting, like what we're doing here? There's a lot of different ways, but AI agents will be the future. I see them getting smarter and smarter. And this, again, is where the traditional, what I'll call generic AI tools are not going to be able to do this. Highly accurately, it's not going to be able to do this. So AI agents is a big thing that we're kind of in the beta realm of. We did a first round of them, got pretty, decent results, but we got to make this easier. So definitely AI agents are things you need to start looking at, and they can start replacing sophisticated, expensive tax planning softwares and have many more use cases. They could do business entity selection. It could do retirement planning. There's a lot of ways you can go with this. So definitely start thinking about or learning about AI agents. And then predictive AI is how you can look at a data set and think of it as, even in your own client base, if you're using a tool like ours and your data is in the client portal, if we're able to create basically profiles of each client, predictive AI could go in and say, okay, this client has young children, they should be doing X. And it's predicting kind of like, these are the strategies that you can use. So you can actually start using it as kind of a business generator, right? So right now you're more reactive. This way you can be proactive and you can be outreaching to your clients. The AI can actually start doing it. So predictive AI, I think, is going to be another kind of big deal coming soon. So we're kind of talking a little bit of the future. So one of the questions we get often Rebecca, is I'm afraid of it. It's going to replace me. Even the new neuro models that are coming out with are still not there. Will they be there in 10, 15 years? Maybe, but I still look at it where our vertical right now is so busy. There's so much demand for it. As a tax and accounting pro, your competitors are going to be using it. They're going to be more efficient than you. They're going to be providing a better service than you. I wouldn't be afraid of it. I would be afraid not to use it, because if you don't, I think you're going to be way behind. If you're still using paper-based stuff, you're still kind of in the dark ages. Clients are going to start migrating to new professionals. What do you say to our clients, Rebecca, to kind of get them off the ledge? And I know very risk adverse profession, but kind of what is the advice you give?
So the biggest thing that I tell people in regard to being scared of it, because that is something I hear constantly, is that look at AI as a way for you to make more money, not a way to replace you. That's the biggest thing I tell them, because the time that you are saving, the personalization that you're going to be able to provide, and basically the enhancement of your services via AI is going to free you up to do things like provide more services, higher level services. Maybe you've always wanted to offer virtual CFO packages and you haven't had time. Now, all of a sudden, you're saving 20, 30 hours a week. Boom, there you go. You can upsell clients. They're going to be paying you more. You're working less. AI is taking on a lot of the tedious tasks so that you can focus on customizing things that you could not do before. So do not look at it ever as a replacement for you. AI is never going to be human, right? It's never going to have the life experiences, the human experience that we have as people. So even as good as it could possibly get, like you said, Lee, in 10 or 15 years, it's never going to actually be a human. So you're always going to be needed, and you're the only one who can provide that level of personal service. So look at AI as a way for you to improve what you're doing, not as something that's going to hinder you or replace you.
Rebecca, never say never. You need to watch more movies, read more books.
Yeah.
Right now, we're worried about the next 3 to 5 years and what are the
Right.
opportunities. We worry about the future later. But I think everything Rebecca just said is, I don't think you should be hesitant. We've gone over the security things. We've gone over the personalization. We've gone over the time savings. Added value to you having an army of assistants. Right now, the biggest thing we hear is I'm too busy to do anything. I can't take more clients. Now you could service these clients in less time. I mean, everyone wants the work-life balance, specifically in high stress verticals like ours. I think artificial intelligence really gets you there much closer. So, Rebecca, before I close up, is there anything that I missed that was, because there's some, I guess, let me back up. There are some other use cases in the future that I think are going to become more and more capable. We're playing around with extracting data in the client hub and utilizing that data to do that predictive analysis. Already, we extract data from client uploads. So, say a client takes a picture of a 1099, a W-2, whatever, just a form of any sort. It is able to scrape that text, make it so you can input it into an Excel file, wherever it's going. So those kind of things are already there. But is there anything that is really pressing for the tax and accounting space that I missed today?
So I think one thing that we didn't hit a lot on, and this is something you could do now, but you can use it to stay top of mind all year. One thing I hear from tax and accounting pros who I work with, they're like, I think people forget about me, right? Like they're not using me all year. I have this influx of cash during tax season, and then I don't hear from people, and then they come to me and everything's a mess because I haven't talked to them in a year. So it's great for year-round client communication, because you can do things like set up a workflow to trigger an email if someone has a baby or has children move out and they become an empty nester, or their kids leaving for college, or they're hiring people in their business and they need to change their tax plan because they've expanded. All those sorts of things, you can use AI to help you create year-round constant communication so that you're staying on top of things, makes your job easier, makes their lives easier, and makes them happier because they're saving more money, because they're not coming to you with a literal shoebox of receipts come April.
Yeah, and we, as just even our own content creation, life events is a huge area that we target every month. And there's seasonal life events. Obviously, there are event life events like getting married, having children, buying a business, selling a business. So those are all the type of topics. The good thing about AI is it will do all that brainstorming for you. And then even, as Rebecca said, help you put that all together in a form that can go out on social media, through your email newsletter, through your blog, et cetera. So, so this is just a mastering. We're trying to get people kind of off the bench, so to speak, who are still not sure they want to do this or not. AI isn't just a tool for the future. We look at it as a powerful ally for tax professionals right now. So it's going to help you save time and deliver better service to your clients. If you are interested in exploring the tools that we've been talking about, again, we have created, and we consider one of ourselves one of the leaders in the space. We started working on this years ago. We had a huge database of all our educational products, our big book of taxes, all our expertise that was used for a different form. And we're like, oh, let's train our model on this. And we basically took our expert staff's brains and put them all in and trained our model. So we're getting incredible results. You can try it for free at TaxBuzz.com. We also have a Chrome plugin assistant that kind of can walk you through wherever you're using Chrome. You'll be able to use the TaxBuzz AI. So you can go to TaxBuzz.com and sign, or we've integrated it into our marketing and practice management solution at CountingWorksPro.com. So if you want to check it out, we would gladly kind of walk you through it. Again, thank you, Rebecca, for sharing your information today. And thanks to all our listeners for tuning in. Hopefully, this has been valuable. If you want to see long form prompting, how to write prompts, go to our YouTube channel, look up our AI 101 course. I think we call it Take Two. If you find that one, I think it's 31 minutes and 42 seconds. You probably already got all of the beginning of that webinar, but from there on is where we do 10 or 15 live prompts. It teaches you what we mean by how to write a prompt. So get away from that garbage in, garbage out, get some really powerful results. So before we go, we're going to kind of pivot in the future podcasts and start going back into the world of digital marketing for tax and accounting firms. We're going to start exploring some more strategies to grow your client base. Our last podcast we did on the referral side, but we're going to start doing a little more examples on how the digital side will work, so you don't want to miss it. So until next time, keep growing and innovating. And again, I'm Lee Reams, and this has been another episode of The Growth Minded Accountant. Goodbye, and good luck in the upcoming tax season. Thank you.